What's up, TammyTalks here. So let's talk about Real World. So I've actually been watching Real World Homecoming LA this entire season. I haven't talked a lot about it. I was actually going to do a video about last week's episode where where Tammy got into it with Glenn and Irene, and they have the entire talk about the use of the N-word and Black Lives Matter and all that type of stuff. But the memes were enough that were going around social media. But let's dig into this episode here, because I feel like it shows that David has not matured. David has not changed. David still refuses to take accountability for any of his actions. David is still the little annoying 22, 23-year-old he was when the show came out back in the early 90s. So this episode starts off with David and Beth being outside, and they're talking about the argument from the night before. David said that he was quiet in that argument because he was not going to go back and forth with Tammy. He said he has been there, done that, ain't gonna happen again. He knows how Tammy gets. He knows that an argument with her, you just might not be able to win, especially if you're very ill prepared for it, like they were. And he was like, they just kept saying all the wrong stuff, and Tammy went in on them. But David feels that the real fight, the real argument is not between blacks and whites. It has nothing to do with different movements, that are race and skin color driven. But he feels that more so a lot of what we should be fighting for is fighting against corporations that are wiping out small businesses. And I said, all right, David. But see, I didn't like David back in the day, and I don't like David now. So like, I was 9 when that came out, and I remember watching it when I got a little older, reruns, and I never liked David then. So all right. So they have this like conversation, the group does. They show some clips. They're talking about how when Beth A showed up in the house, and she came, she was like one of the first openly lesbian people on TV during the time. She was unapologetically herself. And they show clips of like Tammy kind of feeling away, and Tammy said that she was young. At 23 years old, she wasn't the best equipped at handling how to deal with that situation. You know what I mean? She said she had that type of mentality of, keep that over there. But now that she's an adult, she's lived, her youngest daughter, Jazz, has come out as bisexual. She said that she understands more now, and she's more tolerant of it now. And she, age. Once you get older, you start to see things differently. You start to acknowledge like the faults that you had before as a child, and you see that, my way of thinking wasn't necessarily the best. So that was a nice little clip, yada yada yada. So then we have Tammy and David. So they're outside having a cigarette. Tammy she told David how, she was disappointed in him. She was pissed off at him because when they were having that conversation, he wanted him to speak up as a black man and talk about everything that black men go through. You know what I mean? Like, she felt like she was alone in that conversation. It would have been a great teaching tool, a great conversation to have a black woman and a black man talking about these racial issues, educating the other, their white roommates about what they just might not see. Glenn saying that he doesn't see color. Let's talk about how detrimental that is. Let's talk about how jarring that is to hear, because as Tammy said, if you say you don't see color, that means that the plights I go through, the issues I go through as a black woman, you're ignoring that because you have your blinders on. I feel too that people that say that they don't see color, I don't know what to tell you, but if someone says they don't see color, to me, I feel like you're purposely trying to be blind to the issues that we're facing still today, now in 2022. So David told her that Black Lives Matters needs to start with black people because we are killing our own. So David feels that before we can start talking about the police killing us or, these citizens' arrests gone wrong, we need to take more accountability for the black on black crime that goes on within our community. And Tammy said that Tammy says that, yeah, there's black on black crime, but white people kill white people too. Asians kill Asians. Hispanics kill Hispanics. And I hate when people bring up the whole black on black crime. It's just crime. It's crime. So Tammy said that she is more focused on systematic racism. That's what she's more focused on. When you have a group of people, black people, that we are oppressed and we're not able to come up. We're not able to lift us up because the system is designed to look at us as lesser than, to keep us down below, our white counterparts. Tammy said that's what she is more, that's what she's more focused on. And she really, she would hope that he would be the type of person that would have stood up and, had her back and contributed to the conversation instead of him talking about corporations. She said, we're talking about this and you bring up Walmart. So David said that it gets to the point where he doesn't care because, the crown is too heavy of a load. So he just doesn't care anymore. He feels that that's not his fight. He rather focus on things that he can actually change. He also said that he just wants to tell jokes and make some money. So he doesn't care about what's going on. He said we need to learn how to just play the game. Play the game, use what they're giving us and use it to their advantage, basically be puppets. So Tammy said that he has a slave mentality. So David gets offended. And it's like, I have a slave mentality because I'm not on your side. Do I think Tammy went too far with the slave mentality? I feel like that's up for debate. I will say, though, the conversation was going I feel it was going very evenly killed. Tammy is talking about how she wishes David, as a black man, would have stood up and talked more about, contributed more to the conversation. But for David to say that he doesn't care, he doesn't want to get involved in that, he doesn't want to have to worry about such a strong plight, that's jarring. You know what I mean? That's hard for any black person to hear another black person say, well, I don't give a damn because it doesn't involve me. I just want to make money and, not deal with anything like that. So David then tells Tammy that her wig, how is she to tell him he has a slave mentality and she's wearing a wig? That's slave mentality. So she was like, you can talk about my wig, that's fine, but I'm trying to get you to understand. And while she's trying to talk to him, he's walking around humming, and he walks off and he's humming and he's not even listening to her. And to me, that is the first sign that somebody has lost the argument, because if you're not even willing to listen to what else I'm saying and you're just out here just you're doing it because you know that you're not making any sense. She called you out on it. So he then tells Tammy to shut her bald-headed ass up. I said, wow. Okay. So then he plays like he's on the phone and he's walking around. I'm gonna snatch that wig off. She got a wig on. She got a wig on. You should have called you need to make Wig Chronicles instead of Bonnet Chronicles. And it's making me wonder, David, are you jealous that Tammy had a career after this? Tammy went on Basketball Wives, which wasn't the best look, no. But Tammy is an actress. Tammy is doing stuff, though. Tammy is a bona fide entertainer. David, no one has heard of you since The Real World. So Tammy's talking to the other ladies at the table, and she's like, everyone needs to just start holding other people accountable for their actions, for the thoughts that they put into the atmosphere, for whatever they're perpetuating. So David, on the other hand, feels that Tammy is trying to once again do a smear campaign on him. So he's walking around and it's I'm so glad that, our daughter has hair down to her butt and all down her back, and she got a wig on. He's walking back and forth behind her, and it made me wonder, is he really on the phone or just holding the phone? And he's going over and over, and Tammy was like, do you have something that you want to talk to me about? David says no, and Tammy was like, okay, because what is all the back and forth, behind me? And Tammy said, I don't care if he wants to talk about my wig, I have hair. Tammy's thing was, why are you walking back and forth behind me? Because I would take that as threatening too. If I'm sitting here and you're walking back and forth behind me, behind my back where I cannot see you, and you're talking shit about me. So David is going back and forth. So Tammy said, well, you know what? You can talk to my husband. David is like, well, call your husband. Mocking, because I don't know if he thought that she really wasn't going to call her husband. But David goes outside, still kind of on the phone. Tammy calls Reggie. Reggie said, on my way. And the other ladies were kind of like, Tammy, these are just idle threats. And Tammy said, yeah, but my husband don't do nothing idly. He's always on go. And Reggie is a very big nigga. Reggie is a big man. So they didn't show a flashback of David and Tammy arguing back in the day. Tammy at that time called her boyfriend, because if you want to keep talking to me like I'm crazy, you can talk to my husband then, because at the end of the day, Tammy is a woman. So there is absolutely no reason for David to be talking to her the way that he does. But see, David has always been a little bitch, and this is what David does. So David does all this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, but won't say any of that to her face. You have to be like a child and run around and make it seem like you're really on the phone, doing all this unnecessarily. The conversation was over. It was over, and now you're going back and forth about it, and you're keeping it going, but like trying to be like a little ass about it. So, the producer pulls David to the side, and it's like, the conversation was over. Her husband is on the way. You're sitting here, you're making things worse by being on the phone, talking to a friend of yours, like kicking the argument up. And David was like, I'm talking to my daughter's mother. And, when she, back in the day, she tried to, assassinate my character, and my whole family wanted to kick her ass. And that bitch did this and that bitch did that. And I'm like, David, you sound silly. You sound stupid. He honestly sounded stupid. So David said that he's not scared of Tammy, and he's not going to let anybody manipulate him the way that Tammy has everybody else in the house underneath her thumb. Reggie shows up ready. So Reggie comes barreling in the house. He's going up and down the stairs. He's looking for David, calling his name out, doesn't want to be filmed, said he's not there for the TV bull. He's there to defend his wife. Meanwhile, what got me was the way they were just in the back cooking. So John and Glenn are in the back cooking, y'all, making Rice Krispie treats and getting stuff together. They're not worried about what's going on. But the women, Irene and Beth, are like nervous, and they're like, okay, I don't want this type of energy. Our kids are supposed to be coming, and nephew's supposed to be coming. Now they feel like they're nervous. Now they're scared of what's going to happen. I'm like, it's not going to be a big fight, y'all. Y'all know this, but let's go ahead and act as if it's going to be this big whoop to do. So Reggie is sitting outside. He said he's going to sit outside that house, okay, and wait for David to come back because he needs to talk to him. So now Tammy's outside trying to calm him down, and it's kind of like, this isn't what I called you here for. And Tammy is like kind of regretting even calling him, because now it has escalated to a point where Reggie is seeing red. And Reggie is like, I don't care, it's on go, I don't play about my family. So Tammy's like, in her confessional, the same issues that I talked about, putting black men in harm's way when it comes to the police and all this other stuff, I'm doing right now by calling Reggie there. Reggie said he ain't going nowhere. So he's sitting outside. Production comes up and tells Tammy, we can't have this. We're not going to have this. And tells her that they are not going to bring David back to the house So Reggie finally leaves because he's not going to get a chance to go talk to him anyways. So Reggie finally leaves. Tammy goes back in the house and they're asking, what are we going to do about this? Tammy says that the way that they handled the situation with David back in the day was probably not the best. And she does not think that asking him to leave now is a good idea either. She doesn't know how they should handle it, but asking him to leave the house is just not it. It's just not it. She thought the conversation was over when he walked in the house, but he kept it going. He kept it going. David is out on the beach and says that he has more to lose than all them other people wrapped up together. And I said, oh yeah? Real World has been good, y'all. I cannot wait until we get some of these other seasons. I would love to see a Back to New York cast. I would definitely love to see Hawaii, New Orleans. Let's keep it going because this is dope. If you have not already, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one.